Hello, guys. Hope everyone is well. Today, you're in Real Italy. We're going to start talking about everything controversial that's occurring in Italy that's not talked about on mainstream news or media from a perspective of someone that's actually living here in Italy. Yes, as an Italian citizen, Italian blood, but not born here in Italy. But yes, I am Italian because my blood is Italian. My parents' blood is Italian. My parents, my grandparents, my great grandparents, my bloodline is from Italy, going back hundreds of years and hundreds of years, as long as our family tree can be recorded. I've been living here for 5 years. I moved from Australia, and obviously, living here in Italy is totally different than coming on holiday. I have a cousin of mine that's here on holiday, and she says, "Oh, it's so amazing, it's great, it's this, it's that." But in reality, it's not the case. It's not that amazing. And when you live here, because you've got to deal with all the problems, all the reality of the issues going from unchecked immigration, diseases, crime. And this channel, I created it because I am pissed off. I've got the fucking shits. And I want to start telling the truth. And obviously, to pretty much just vent my anger at the whole situation and just to release my anger. And I do believe that people do need to know, and we need more voices to speak up about the problem. So on today's news update, I'm going to try to do these updates as much as possible. And I'm going to do them as news updates for a particular day, particular couple of days. And so this is our news update for today. Tomorrow's a public holiday here. It's Ferragosto here in Italy. But Pisa has sunk into Islamic terror. And yet another Moroccan has turned the central station of Pisa into a battlefield. On August the 12th, 2025, so we're talking 2 days ago. So I give those news updates based on things that have happened within 12, 24 hours, 48 hours, within that week. So this had occurred around 6 p.m. 2 days ago. A North African, high on drugs and alcohol, of course, brandished a knife threatening spies with wild screams, saw panic among defenseless citizens. The brave soldiers of the Strada Security operation intervened, promptly restraining him and handing him over to police. An act of heroism that should have ensured safety, but no. The red robe judges, struck again. This delinquent was neither arrested nor deported, but merely reported and released, free to strike again. It's an insult to the nation. While a woman is stabbed in Foggia and trains are raped in Navarra, these ideologically complicit globalist judges are sabotaging our sovereignty. We must halter regular Islamic immigration with forced re-immigration, or Pisa and Italy will become a caliphate of knives, just like in the UK. The scene was a nightmare. The Moroccan, with eyes blazing, with madness, waved his blade among the crowd, ready to wound, while soldiers pinned him down amid screams of terror. Cameras captured the moment and put the red robe judges like Silvio Bano, who blocks deportations, turn justice into a joke, releasing him with a meaningless report. The EU, with its safe countries ruling, and the anti-Italian left, from Madrini to Salas, applaud, while family reunifications allow families of extremists, diluting our 90% native population. Enough is enough. We need to halt regular Islamic immigration, abolish family reunification, and return to the pure ius sanguinis. Citizenship only by Italian blood, like I have. I was born in Australia, but I got citizenship citizenship because of my Italian bloodline. Forced remigration of these Moroccans, exit from the murderous EU, Meloni act. She's not going to act. Definitely not. She is complicit to all of this. She said she was going to block the ships, hasn't blocked the ships. She's complicit to it. And yeah, she's pretty much bent over to the European Union. But we need to fight the subversive charges and protect Pisa in Italy. People need to rise up and we've got to stop this invasion. And obviously, EU, talking as an Italian citizen, but also other EU countries under occupation, we need to take back our lands one way or another. Another incident that occurred, Italy sinks into the blackest shame. This happened several days ago in Milan. There were 4 young monsters, we can call them monsters, who ran over and killed a 71-year-old named Cecilia De Astis in Via Saponaro in Grattosoglio. They have been detained and released and sent back to their families as if nothing happened. Basically, there were some French tourists, and the mother of these children said, the tourists left their keys in the car. Okay, but what does it make these kids to go and steal the car? Maybe they left the keys there for 2 seconds. Who know? I don't know where the car was stolen exactly. It was a Citroen. I do recall seeing it smashed up in the media, and it had French tags. But they stole this car, and it's no excuse, there's keys in the car, but doesn't give excuses to steal the car. So they stole the car. 3 underage children, aged between 11, 13, and a 4th accomplice, crushed the life of this poor innocent lady. As she got off the bus, because she went out to do some shopping, she went to cross the road, and basically this car is driving fast, erratically. There was also witnesses saying that it was crossing both sides of the road. They pretty much just mowed her down. And luckily the CCTV caught them and saw their faces, but these cowards ran away from the scene. But the police were able to find them pretty swiftly because I imagine they're probably already on the police's radar. They already have their identity, and they're able to put their faces to a name. So it didn't take long to find them. And basically, yeah, they've already been released because under 14 you can't be in prison. So they're back in the caravans in the Nomad camp on Via Savanesco, entrusted to the very families that raised them in delinquency. These little monsters of Bosnian origin, but born in Italy, will pay no price for their crime. The law deems them unaccountable due to their age, an absurdity that makes them untouchable. But who raised them? Who taught them to steal cars and sow death? Those Zingari parents. We call them Zingari as a form of gypsies from the east. Welcome them back, ready to stand them out again for more raids. Cecilia is dead. Her blood stains the asphalt, and Italian justice responds with a shameful slap in the face to the citizens. No punishment, no deportations, only impunity. So you got to think, a lady that's probably worked all her life, paid taxes to the system, fed the system, and what? No justice. Enough of this fast. These are not innocent children. They are budding murderers, products of a system that tolerate nomad camps as a breeding ground for crime. Their coldness in fleeing after the killing cries out for vengeance. Yet, the state cuddles them, leaving them free to strike again, and they will strike again. They will kill other people. They will commit crime. Nothing stops that. Italians need to revolt. We cannot accept that our grandparents, our loved ones, are sacrificed to protect these parasites. Those camps need to be razed down to the ground. Punish those who raised them to do evil, or prepare to count more dead. Our patience is gone, and justice needs to be served where these people need to be sent back to the countries of where they're from. They are not Italian. Being born in Italy does not make you Italian. It does not make you Italian. And if you're going to commit these heinous crimes, and you have a father that's in jail, you have these kids that commit these heinous crimes, they should be deported back to Bosnia. It's 7:30 p.m. on a Wednesday, August the 13th, 2025, and Italy is engulfed in outrage that burns on fire. It's this lady, 71 years old, is brutally run over, and instead of punishing these little monsters, the Milan juvenile justice prosecutor's office, led by Luca Villa, is deciding how many years Italians will have to support them in luxury communities. You heard that right. While Cecilia bloodstains the floor, she lay dead on the asphalt, crushed. These killers are unaccountable because they're under 14, and also on top of that, are being cuddled. With the prosecutor's office checking their living conditions to decide whether to place them into facilities paid for with our money, or whether to commit so they can continue their crimes undisturbed. So the Milan Juvenile Prosecutor's Office, headed by Luca Villa, is verifying the living and housing conditions of the 3 boys and 1 girl, aged 11 to 13, and that were identified in the murder of Cecilia. So this is one of the necessary steps for the juvenile prosecutor for taking action on the kids who are not criminally liable because they're under 14, such as potentially placing them in communities. Placing them in communities at the cost of the Italian citizen. They should be in prison doing hard labor or sent back to Bosnia. I understand they're kids, but they're going to go back to their own country, so they'll never be a burden to us here in Italy. And they can never come back here in Italy again. It's like a lifetime ban. They can never re-enter back into this country again. And last night, these parasites were released back to their families, only to flee the Sevenesco camp to escape media pressure, returning only at 1 p.m, escorted by a patrol, all except one. They were intercepted in Via Ovada, like a common feature near the local place of guard in the camp, where 3 adults and 12 children remain. But no one dares to touch the real culprits, those Zingari parents who raised them in a life of crime. Instead of investigating those who turned these kids into killers, the prosecutor's office is considering measures that are nothing but a gift to the guilty at the expense of honest citizens. Enough with this disgrace. We don't want to support these killers in communities where they cause even more damage. We want them deported. The camps need to be razed to the ground, their parents punished. Cecilia died because of a state that prefers to protect criminals over its elderly Italians. We need to rise up. We cannot tolerate our money funding the impunity of those who take our loved one from us. Justice needs to be done for Cecilia, and I'm talking justice, not obviously committing crime back to them all. I'm talking about justice where laws are changed and people that commit these heinous crimes get sent back to their country of origin. Enough is enough, and then they can never come back to Italy. This has to be done. You need to start cleaning the slate. If you're not going to adapt to the Italian way of life, you go back to your own country. It's plain and simple. So like, share, and subscribe. I will keep you posted on more updates on what's happening in the real Italy. Take care and keep well, guys.